Fox News alert. This looks a little better. U.S. markets surging today after China's central bank cut interest rates to bolster its sputtering economy amid fears of a global slowdown. But will it be enough? This is Outnumbered. I'm Sandra Smith. Here today, Harris Faulkner, Andrea Tantaros, host of Kennedy on our sister network, Fox Business Kennedy, and today's #OneLuckyGuy senior correspondent for FBN, Charlie Gasparino, and he is outnumbered. And don't forget it.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the couch.
I love it.
Hey, you've been a busy guy
I'm
for
ready
this
for the
market
abuse.
sell-off.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is what we come to play for. This is kind of our World Series when markets sell off and try to give people some sort of guidance. It's an interesting political story. I mean, if the markets keep selling off, it basically tells us that we're likely to hit a recession.
And you were ready for it over the weekend because you tweeted a picture of yourself very sweaty after a workout in a T-shirt.
Here's the weird thing about
explain?
that. Yes.
Hold on, Charlie. You got to save all your salacious stories.
No, this isn't salacious. I had my phone on in my fanny pack when I went jogging, and that accidentally.
That's how it happens. That's what happened with Anthony Weiner as well. Was that
okay?
I was fully
investors
clothed,
understandably on edge. Millions of Americans anxiously eyeing their 401ks. The Dow trying to bounce back after some of its worst days in years. The big fear fueling all of this: the market turmoil in this world's second largest economy, China, and the domino effect it may have. Trillions of dollars have been wiped off the books around the world since the Chinese government devalued its currency just 2 weeks ago, sending global markets plummeting. Meantime, the financial chaos grabbing the attention of the presidential candidates. Republicans pointing to the market's plunge as proof of President Obama's misguided economic policies.
We're tying ourselves so closely to Asia, and in particular to China, that this is going to be trouble for our country. And not only now have they taken our jobs and they've taken our base and they've taken our manufacturing, but now they're pulling us down with them.
I've been expecting a correction for some time now because the underlying fundamentals of the U.S. economy are not that strong. 2% growth is pretty lackluster.
This is a history of failed policies by this president. What's happened is, because this president has run up more debt than any president in American history, that debt has been given to us in large measure by the Chinese.
The White House saying an improving employment picture and some strong economic data prove the U.S. markets will withstand turmoil overseas. But, Charlie, that doesn't mean that Main Street isn't still terrified about the sell-off that they have been witnessing.
Yeah, and they should be, because it underscores some of the sort of problems with our economy. Clearly, if China is a huge global economy, if they go down, if they have economic issues, and by the way, they're not imploding quite yet. They're lowering their growth forecast, but that has an impact across the globe. They are a significant trading partner, not our biggest, but a significant trading partner. If the Chinese economy goes down, other economies are going to be affected. And when you have 2% growth, as we have in this country, that hits us. I will say one other thing. Those Republicans were speaking out both sides of their mouth. There was the Donald Trump Republican statement, which was essentially an attack on his fellow Republicans, as well as President Obama. He was calling for protectionism. Most Republicans want free trade. I guess Chris Christie and Carly Fiorina would be put in that position. And then there's what Chris Christie and Carly Fiorina said, the misguided policies of the Obama administration, high regulation, taxes, Obamacare is what's causing what's going on.
But still, these GOP candidates, as we've been witnessing, Andrea, have used this market sell-off as a reason to pounce on the president's economic policies for potentially causing this market turmoil.
Listen, it's a fantastic opportunity because you look at the Obama State of the Union. In January, he said that we're out of the clear when it comes to the economy. And Trump, yet again, we've watched these candidates chase news cycles. He's been talking about China more than any other candidate. So this benefits him. They're actually following in his lead. I think it's fascinating, Charlie. Our economy used to be pretty impervious to what the Chinese used to do. That's not the case as much as, Sandra, phones may be designed in Cupertino, but they're made in China. They're holding a lot of our debt. Charlie, speak to how much in Washington, D.C. the administration has hurt business. You look at them picking winners and losers. You look at strangling regulations. You look at crushing debt.
Right.
You look at everything that they've done, taxes, regulations, managing health care reform. You could go down the list, expansion of social services. How much has this hurt
I
the economy.
I think it's really has hurt the economy, but that's not what Donald was saying. When you really dive into, and I want to preface this, I like Donald. Good guy, known him for many years, respect him as a businessman. But what he's calling for here is he's not just attacking the president, he's attacking Republicans. He's saying that protectionism, that's what we need, more protectionism. We need less free trade.
He doesn't call it that.
He calls it like, I'm going to cut better deals and I'm going to put penalties on their exports, which, by the way, is called a tariff. And that's exactly what they did right before the Great Depression. We know that stuff doesn't work, yet he's using it, and I hasten to call Donald a demagogue, but when you start trotting out absurd economic theories, right, in the face of what's going on right now.
Our Federal Reserve is partly to blame for this, right?
I blame the Fed for everything, and I'm surprised this hasn't come up in a lot of these conversations.
Thank you.
I mean, we should be ending the Fed, and if we're talking about limiting government regulation, we need to start with the Fed. We need to start with the Fed's inability to properly administer rates. I mean, what's happening in China right now? What are they doing with interest rates? What's happening in this country? What are we doing with interest rates?
I'll answer you in a second. Here's the problem.
And this is Carly Fiorina's point, by the way.
Listen,
and she's also right about fundamentals.
It's not all what you said is absurd, but some of it is, and I'll tell you why. Because in the absence of coherent fiscal policy coming out of the White House, i.e., when you have higher taxes, Obamacare, all this garbage that is being heaped on American businesses, the only game in town to stimulate the economy is the Federal Reserve. Ben Bernanke knows it, knew it for as long as he's in there. To some extent, Janet Yellen knows it. And that's the problem with attacking the Fed.
Artificially keeping rates low isn't doing anything.
They're not artificially keeping rates low.
For small businesses, Main Street, and
Charlie, the reason why, no, but it's the only game in town. It'd be twice as worse. It'd be twice as bad. I'm sorry.
Real quickly, and when you watch how China is planning to dig itself out this morning, they're taking a note out of our notebook.
Absolutely.
So I have to question, as Kennedy is questioning, as deep as they are, that's maybe settled the markets down a little bit today, because what they're doing, for people who may not know, they're just watching for the first time on the West Coast, they're getting up. What they may not know is that what they've said in China is, we're going to loan as much money as we possibly can. We're going to get those interest rates
part of the concern
where people can get their hands on some cash through credit, and they can start stimulating the economy.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it may only be temporary, just as we found in this country. And if that is the only tool that you have in your toolkit, what happens 2 weeks ago,
why is it
2
the
weeks
only
from
tool?
now, when that doesn't happen?
You have to ask yourself, why is the only tool? Because President Obama was basically looking to socialize the economy, the private economy.
Right,
and
but I'm talking about China taking a note out of our notebook.
On steroids.
That's what economic protectionism is. That is not fiscal conservatism. Donald Trump is selling himself as a fiscal conservative. Yes, he does.
You are mixing and matching terms. Protectionism is what Donald Trump is calling for.
Yes, exactly.
Lowering interest rates is not protectionism.
Saying. Okay, but protectionism also is
support protectionism?
I don't support protectionism.
Can I ask you a question, Sandra? Why are we tied so much to China?
Because we've outsourced so much business to China and they own our debt. Those are two big reasons.
Yeah.
So
and we can't change
China
that?
is prevalent in almost every aspect of the U.S. economy.
How are we tied?
But can't we change that? Can't we make
if
more
we default on our debt?
Are you kidding me? Are you actually asking?
You have to ask, how are we tied? We are not tied to the Chinese stock market. The Chinese happen to be...
Not the Chinese stock market.
But Donald Trump says that. The Chinese buy some of our debt. Not most of it, but they buy some of it. Okay, we are tied to them because they're a big global economy, and they buy some of our goods, and they buy goods of other countries, and those other countries.
Well, my point is, a lot of what they're making, we could make here.
They're one of the largest consumers of it.
At greater cost.
All right.
At a much greater
cost than what we just spent globally in the markets, reacting partially and mostly to China. Trillions of dollars.
We need them.
We're already paying for it.
Because they do hold our debt, and they need us because we buy their stuff. They also make our stuff, even though we design it here. That was my point about the iPhone.
They buy some of our stuff.
We are in a mutually sort of beneficial and mutually destructive relationship. We have guns to each other's heads.
Would your idea of less regulation break that bond?
No question. Everything, Harris, this administration
to do more.
Everything.
Let
me just finish. Everything this administration has done has put our economy. Everything Sandra talks about every morning, everything Charlie talks about all day long, has sunk our economy even further. It has done the opposite because liberals believe that they can manage capitalism, that they're so smart, they're the ones that should manage it. They've picked losers with Solyndra in certain industries. They've overregulated. They've overtaxed. They would tax more if they can.
They're spending too much, and they think they can overspend by borrowing more money from China. Trying to make it cheaper, so we borrow more money from China, and that's how we further tie ourselves to their economy.
Why blame the Fed for that?
So this obviously
has nothing to do with the Fed.
No, the big conversation and the question that everybody's asking themselves today is: Are we
absolutely? And when we get back to that discussion,
are we experiencing a slump or entering into another recession? That's on the mind of Main Street right now, and that's their big concern. We're seeing some relief at least today. You saw the big board got a several 100-point gain in the Dow, at least for now. We're going to keep watching it for you. New reports, meanwhile, that if Vice President Joe Biden decides to run for the White House in 2016, he has President Obama's blessing. What that could mean for this very exciting race. And if he does make a bid, how might it impact Hillary Clinton? Why some say it could actually help her. And right after the show, catch more from the couch on the web. It's already getting feisty. Join us for Outnumbered Overtime by logging on to foxnews.com/outnumbered. Click on the Overtime tab. Who knew? Talking about China could be so exciting. Tweet us your questions, comments. Tell us what topic you want to hear.